call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The school board will convene in closed session tonight to consider the employment, promotion, compensation, performance, and evaluation data of any public employee in which the governmental body has jurisdiction and exercising its responsibility under Wisconsin statutes 19.85.1 C for special education aid, cook, two more special education aides, part-time, superintendent mid-year evaluation, and the board self-evaluation. We don't have any presentations tonight. Do we have any guests that wanted to comment on anything?
Nobody signed up to.
Okay. Does anyone wish any items removed from the consent agenda? If there are none, then the consent agenda is approved. I consent with a large list of donations again from James Schultz Rabin and David Rabin, $500 for the Echo Lab, Nicole and Casey Rabach, a donation of used equipment of $1,200 for the physical education department, a Door County Triathlon of $500 for the DI, Ron Michael, a donation of $1,000 for the Hall of Fame, Steve T-Bond, donation $1,200 for the Hall of Fame, Ashley McCormick, $200 for the Echo Lab, and Gary Fairchild, a donation of $1,500 for Phase 2. We'll begin then with the administrator reports, and beginning tonight with Mrs. Margraf.
In addition to my report, I wanted to talk a little bit about a challenge that I have, but also how it circles back into a recognition. So typically starting August 1st is when we get really busy when we start thinking about some of our students and the special plans that they have in place for the upcoming school year. So August 1st is when we really start doing that. And when I say we, Sue and I and other people that are working typically through the summer. So my challenge always has been, where's that balance of reaching out to our staff in summer, right? Over the past couple of years, what I have noticed is I want to respect that, right? I want to respect where our staff are at. But then there is that fine line of being able to reach out to them because they are part of the solutions, for the students that they're serving. So it's the challenge that I have, and it turns around into a recognition because every time I do reach out to the staff, they are there. So they're there to help problem solve. They're there to help create the plans ultimately that are going to make the kids have a successful school year, this coming school year. So some of the things that have been happening all throughout August, since August 1st, are just multiple planning sessions with teachers to figure out what are the right classes for kids to be in. And in particular too, some of our students as well have other agencies that are involved in their life, whether they're in a day treatment program or they have outside counseling, or they're part of human services. And so there's multiple planning sessions that lead to multiple meetings that lead to staff development, and that does happen throughout the month of August. And I just wanted to say how appreciative I am of our staff and their willingness to be a part of those because they're making stronger plans for our students. So that's just what I wanted to add in addition to the report that I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hills.
Thank you very much. The thing I would like to touch base on is the sub-orientation that we did. I'd like to thank Troy for assisting with that. We presented to the people who subbed for us over the course of the year. We had 23 people who showed up that morning for the presentation, which was exciting to see. Of those, of the 23, 21 were people who were returning. We had 2 new faces, which was great. We also have an additional number. I think our total right now is 37 people on our sub list. And that's all kinds of subs. That's people who are paraprofessionals as well as classroom subs. But that's a healthy list that we've got when you start seeing what other districts are dealing with and that kind of stuff. So we really couldn't do the things that we do without having quality subs in our district. And So it was exciting to have those numbers and to be able to make that presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer?
Thank you. I think the biggest thing being new to Sevastopol is the new teacher training and mentor program that we have. In my previous district, whenever we did mentoring, it was kind of really loose, and it was really great to see like teachers who came in and took the new teachers under their wing and spent time with them, took them out to lunch, helped them get acclimated, talked with them about curriculum and planning for the year. It was really incredible, and I had the opportunity to meet with all the new teachers, middle school and high school, and in our private meeting they were raving about how great that experience was and how important it was to kind of setting the tone and making them feel really comfortable. So it's a really awesome program, and a great credit to the teachers who gave up their summer to come in and mentor our new teachers and help them kind of get acclimated to how we do things here at Sevastopol. It was awesome.
If there's nothing else, thank you.
Yeah, question back.
I really found enlightening the challenge. So what do you have plans to?
Yeah, one of the things that we have planned to try and meet the challenge of working with, or kind of shedding a light on students who are coming from a socioeconomic disadvantage entering our district. This year we're going to do a book study. There's an author, Eric Jensen, who does a lot of research on working with students in poverty. And so we're going to take one of his books and take a look at some of the strategies that he talks about. And each month we'll take another shot at that and see what we can incorporate into those classrooms.
Like then you roll that in with our last 2 meetings ago presentation on Hispanic students. That were really good. Very good.
Does anybody have questions they want to direct on the athletic director gifted and talented report? Directing and then to the superintendent.
My report includes some technical changes for policies, and Bridget Powers, our librarian, has been working on a letter form for both elementary and middle school, high school, for parents to have the choice of restricting what books their child is allowed to check out. And so we have some parent input on that. Admin team reviewed the letter this week. We gave it back to Bridget. She's touching it up one final time, and then she'll distribute it back next week when the students show up. And in my WAS, the legal conference, you can see there's a whole list of topics there, and I'll be presenting those to the staff during in-service days next week.
Is the book selection something you always had for a long time?
A parent can always tell the librarian, hey, I don't want my child reading that type of book, but this is making the parents more aware that they do have that option, because most times the kids go to the library, pick out a book and just go. Some parents, unfortunately, don't even look what's in their kids' backpacks. It's just giving more awareness to the parents that they have some more, because it's not a book that's required reading for a class, it's what they're doing for free reading. So it's free reading, the parents get a little more say in it. As part of our curriculum, that's a little different, but this is their option-free reading books.
Just a question, are we invited to the breakfast?
Yes, we'd like to come to the in-service breakfast on Monday at 7:40. We're eating in the cafeteria.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have anything. I guess we don't have any committee reports. Committees haven't met. Budget report?
Not much activity, but it's July in the regular packet. And then we do have the cash balance reflective of $1 million transferred from Fund 10 to Fund 46, and the final payments for the tax revenue received in August, which go on the books for the 21-22 school year, even though the 21-22 school year ended June 30th. And then we should have a packet in front of you for the 22-23 budget, revenue and expenses for each fund. That's the top sheet. The next 2 sheets are for 23-24, showing a 5 and 10% increase possibilities in those years. And then the additional sheets are the outline of the revenue and expenses per line for the 22-23 budget. We will transfer if all stays as projected, and when Carl and I work on the budget, we always are conservative with our revenue coming in, and we're conservative the opposite direction for expenses of the district. And we expect that when they're transferring to Fund 27 Special Ed, $1.1 billion at the end of the year. Carl, do you remember what it was this last year? Was it 900,000?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 900,000 this last year. And then transfer to Fund 50, that's food service. This last year it was like $12,000, but we had all the free lunches. Every lunch was free. That program's ending. Casey's expenses, food is going up considerably in cost. We look back at 2 years, pre-COVID, so before the 2019-20 year, we look back at what our kids' eating rate was, and we went back there, so now with the transfer for that amount, it'll be $135,000. If the kids don't eat as much, so Casey won't order as much of food, so his expenses will be down. The expenses that were Casey estimated based on the meals this year, but our revenue, we based it on pre-COVID, because that program's done here again this summer. Yeah. I mean, there's still free reduced lunch for the kids who qualify, but other children that had income that didn't need it, or families that had income didn't need it, they're paying this year. So it'll be interesting who decides to be a customer of this food service or who back around Saxon again. That'd be interesting. Hopefully, if they ate during the COVID time, they said, hey, the meals aren't too bad here. It's easier to pack a lunch. I'm going to get in line and eat it. But time will tell on that. So,
Are we all done with ESSER 2 funds, or?
no, in this budget, you'll see ESSER 2, we have $52,000 remaining, and we have to claim those funds before we can start ESSER 3 funds. And we have a total of
168,000 in ESSER 2 funds.
in ESSER 3
We're ESSER 3. In ESSER 2, we have 58,000 left.
this year and next. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
we're
have-
balancing that out.
I have to claim, all the money has to be claimed in ESSER 2 by the end of this school year, by June of '23. June of '24, ESSER 2 has to be spent.
ESSER 3,
Or, ESSER 3.
right. But ESSER funds are the federal government's answer to assisting with COVID relief and the educational gap that was lost during that time. And that's how we're paying for our math interventionist, her aide, the enhanced summer school for this summer, next summer, and various programs like that. So we are. Okay. One concern I have when we figure out the revenue is the local property amount. That's based on the revenue limit worksheet, which is based on enrollment. We graduated 44 seniors last year. We have at this point 23 4Kers coming in. A 4K student, all kids in Wisconsin aren't valued the same. Our kids aren't as valuable as Sturgeon Bay, or we're more valuable than Sturgeon Bay kids, less valuable than Gibraltar kids, and 4K kids are only 0.6 of what a full-time student at your district is. So since we have less 4K students coming in than we graduate, our enrollment's going to go down, but there's a declining enrollment factor that they stick into the revenue limit worksheet. So you have to compare your incoming 4K to last year's 4K class, which becomes your 5K, and you compare the 5Kers to the graduating class. We had 37 4Kers last year. This year we'll have 23. Some will walk in the door the first day of school because we have that every year. But there's going to be a little gap. There'll be declining enrollment at the 4K level. The 5Kers are full-time equivalents. They have to offset the seniors leaving, and so we're a few behind on that. But we'll get the declining enrollment benefit, so we won't feel the effect until the next school year. And we always do that conservatively. Interesting, we had 2 seniors registered for school today that weren't on our radar. So, and then senior year is kind of a odd year to get a student. You know, it's usually not when you receive them. One's a foreign exchange student, and I don't know why anyone's coming here. Just they moved here. They must have, because their other school is greater than 50 miles away from here, so they must have relocated.
Where is the foreign exchange student from?
Brazil.
Brazil.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that through Rotary?
I just read the email today that we have,
Yeah.
and I don't know where from. I would have.
The family is hosting is sending their daughter to Italy for the year. So So it's an interesting change. So anything else, Carl, I should say on the top page?
Well, the one thing with Fund 49, obviously, there is no more income coming in, but we still have an expense there of around $8,000 because we still have the final contingency that has not been paid yet due to the greenhouse not being signed off on yet. So there's still an expense out there, but it's part of the contingency that we've had all along, and until that gets signed off, that money just stays as a liability for us. And until that, so that's why I have an expense in there for Fund 49 of that $8,000. If you notice, Fund 50 and Fund 27, both expense and revenues are the same. Well, that's because they have to bail, they have to zero out each. So as you see at the bottom, those are the transfers that we're looking for. So the Fund 10 expenses without transfers, or I should say, I forgot to change that. It should be Fund expenses before transfers. We actually have, our revenue is actually higher than what our expenses would be. But that's just the way it is. I mean, we have to do the transfer, that's the way it has to be. So, and one other thing is the auditors will be here next week. They come Monday morning. So tomorrow will be, or next week will be very busy.
Teachers come back, kids come back, auditors show up. That's all that. And
And payroll on Tuesday.
well, one thing about this year's budget, it should be noted, we ordered a bus, when did we go? December, and it's still not here. It got painted this week. It's not here yet. So that was going to be a 21-22 expense. They're $105,000. So now that one will be on this year's budget. And in April, I told Dan, since we weren't getting that first bus, we were in December, I said, we'll order one in April for the next one. And I think I told you, we always get Bluebird buses, and Bluebird won't even take orders now, so we're getting International instead, because it's the only company that would sell us a bus. And that was ordered in April and will not be here until January at the earliest. So the supply chain kind of pushed our budget. That was a $100,000 swing from one budget to the other, but we've got to have buses rolling. So all our buses did pass inspection Monday or Tuesday, earlier this week. So that's good. It's the first time we've had them all passed, the first time the state trooper came, so that's really good. And two of them, we'd like to retire two of those buses. So, yeah.
So what does the state do? Let's say we have a really cold winter, which is possible. This year across the state, because I saw on TV this weekend, the natural gas will be up 400%. So that your house home heating bill will be 4 times what it was last year.
Natural gas.
Well, we're going out to bid here in August for the year for our natural, and we did build in the budget more of a cushion than expenses. But what's the state going to do about it?
I mean,
Nothing.
that's a huge hit to everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't.
I think that was part of the reason they did some of these percentage increases.
But that's,
We don't know.
well, that and the CPIU for the cost of living increase. If you looked in my report, it says that the November 22 number is 6.86%. July is when we base our salary increases, and it was 4.7 back in 4.71 back on July 1, and we issued raises at 3.2%. We stayed 1.5% less than that, which didn't make people happy because it was less than the cost of living increase. But now in November, it's at 6.86. They don't know what it's going to be in July of 23 yet, but we're riding a roller coaster right now. So yeah, the next 2 pages, that's why when we met with Dave a month ago, we said, okay, let's do some increases of 5 and 10% and see what it looks like, because we don't know what the cost of fuel is going to be. Yeah, gas prices come down a little bit. They get us to complain when it goes up $1, and they bring it down to 25 cents and we're happy again, you know? And so yeah, so we got the cost of fuel going up, and then we have the fact that wages will go up again. And about our insurance. This year, our insurance rate, we're locked in with Prevea 360. It went up 2.9% on a lock. our expenses for the insurance company was 149% greater than their premiums. So they lost money this year on Sevastopol School District. Next year, they're locked in at 3.9%. I would project if they lost 29% this last year, they're going to lose more again next year. Then in 24-25, we'll go out to bid for the 24-25 school year with M3, which we're in the cooperative with the other schools in Door County. And M3 said project out that it's going to be 10 to 15% increase in your health insurance. And what is our health insurance? $1.3 million a year we spend on health insurance, 1.2. So we've got to figure that's going to be 10 or 15% in 2 years from now. So it's going up. Cost of living is what it is. But we do have a healthy fund balance at 41%, and we do have a referendum on schedule for November of 24. That's our normal schedule. We go for non-recurring operating costs when the one expires. We always ask for the next one, and that's why we do non-recurring, because we don't know what our costs are going to be at that time. But we'll also watch that enrollment, because if we only have 23 kids in that 4K class, we could use one less teacher. But one less teacher is not going to save us hundreds of thousands of dollars on health insurance. But we got to be cognitive of that as we go.
I might have been the only one, but turn on your microphone if you didn't. I forgot. The facilities report.
The greenhouse, we've made no progress on having a meeting about the roofing material. Myron, Bray, the fire chief, and the building inspector, we cannot get everyone together to discuss that. That's a frustration. I don't know what else. I think that's
like between the building inspector and fire chief.
No, they're pretty much aligned. It's between the architect and them, and Myron Construction.
Because I thought Myron said they've done this all over the state.
That's correct.
The
And so has
building
the...
inspector has seen this before. Or the change of
Well, I'll let Dick talk about it since he's been in some of the nice meetings we've had, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you know, with my experience with greenhouse construction, this is the first time I've ever seen what's going on with acrylic roofs. I've never seen a building inspector come in a state, in a public property, or public owned property, and say that acrylic panels present a safety hazard in a fire, because it's kind of a standard in the industry, unless you have glass, which a lot of universities still do have glass. So, I mean, that's one situation. The other situation is there's some design flaws in that greenhouse. And United, I think they have to correct those somehow or another.
We are meeting with them next
We're going to meet
Tuesday?
Yeah, 31st.
Yeah. Maybe
So,
Wednesday.
They have to do that, but my opinion is that until we really get a red flag thrown at us, we conduct business as usual. Sometimes these inspectors come out of the dark and it's like, oh, yeah, so, yeah.
You wait long enough to change it.
I've never been.
We're not prevented from using the greenhouse at this point?
No, we're using it.
Very good.
The other things about the building, there's a drain over by the music wing as you come out where it runs on the sidewalk. It just has to be connected. And there's one set of magnetic doors on the second floor. The magnetic holders have got to be activated. Otherwise, we're in pretty good shape in this building here. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. What's going on?
Lockers are in there, good.
Oh, I have to update that. The lockers came in this last week. They do have some.
Installed?
They're installed. The kids will start using them first day of school, so that's a big hurdle. But there has to be a little more trim on the top and on the sides. So we had to order a couple more pieces because when they cut out the old ones, it went a little higher than. When you take something out, you always have something. So they will come back and make that right. We'll pay for the metal because it's more metal, but they'll pay for the install. Yeah, I forgot about the lockers. was a big deal last week. Yeah, a big deal one week isn't a big deal the next week, right? Yeah.
In the field?
Field project, if you go out there by the scoreboard, the 2 I-beams I'm going to put up, the scoreboard is supposed to go up on Friday. They're working hard on the ticket booth. They do have the block here now, so the block is going up on the interior part of the concession stand pavilion. They built the roof on the ground, and when the block all gets done, they're going to bring a crane or a sky, yeah, and they're going to lift and put on there. I'd like to see that because it's really heavy. But they said, Myron said they've done it before, so it's possible. Yeah, and Lisa and I met with Hutchinson today to go over his work out there. He's still got a ways to go, but he's making progress every day, so that's getting better. The playing field, I feel like the kids can play out there and be safe. It's the outer areas that need addressing, but he does have a plan, and we have our part in it too, so we're going to keep working on that. That's about the field project.
First game to be played here will be next Tuesday with middle school.
Tuesday, middle school's got a game on the new field. Yeah, and I'm glad we kept the old concession stand up until the new one's usable, because that was a thought this summer. Well, let's just get rid of the old one while we're here. And the way the chain of supplies and stuff, I'm glad we have it. So.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Nothing? No, under old business, when I was looking at notes, as we prepare to talk to the superintendent tonight, was his mid-year evaluation. One of the things we talked about when we did his annual evaluation was setting a special meeting with the school board to talk about goals, which we have not done. So that's something we might want to look at tonight when we're setting meetings later on. Talk about. Anybody have anything else in that regard? Okay. Dress code.
Next item.
All right, I guess that's me.
You're on.
So with the dress code, I gave you all a suggested revision. I think when you look at a dress code historically, when you look at that, dress codes have been primarily geared towards the female population in a school. And in order to draft a dress code that's equitable and appropriate, and one of my goals as a leader here is to create a gold standard of excellence in all things that we do, academics and relationship, the culture that we have. And in order to do that, we drafted the dress code, and there's been a few people that have come and talked to me about that, and I just wanted to highlight some changes. First of all, number 2, removing at the very bottom, originally it said cannot disrupt or distract the learning environment. That is inappropriate from the standpoint, I think, of, we really have to be careful that we're not body shaming, and we are creating an environment where we're not saying because somebody wears an outfit that is going to disrupt or distract. It's a comment that I felt needed to be removed with some help from our input from some other people, and I agree with that. So, and then number 6, removing tank tops, because obviously the tank tops were really, when it was put in there, were meant to highlight, the boys wearing muscle shirts or tank tops. We want, the goal is to have some type of professional dress, a dress of excellence, and obviously girls can wear tank tops and still follow the professional dress, which is, we don't want to see any undergarments and things like that. The biggest debatable one was number 15. It stated that clothing such as leggings, spandex pants or shorts, yoga pants, tights, jeggings, etc. must be worn with a top that's longer than the seat of the pants. When that has been brought to my attention about that in today's fashion, they don't make shirts that cover that. My only response to that is, once again, changing the mindset where the dress code isn't just focusing on female, but where all means all. So then my question is, if we're going to be okay with that, are we going to allow our male students then to come in, because they do have male leggings as well? And to me, that to me, I think that presents a problem. So I think having a standard there for number 15, but it has been brought to my attention that finding clothes for many families where they can find shirts that covered has been the argument. So once again, my goal is to set a high standard of excellence here, but wanting to set that standard that is appropriate and attainable. So I guess I'm leaving that one up to you guys to decide on your viewpoint or your thoughts. But the other thing that was brought up is then that would lead to our sports programs, that we would have to look at that. And I don't agree with that, because when you look up the definition of leggings and what they're originally used for, they're an athletic wear. And on a site I was actually on today, they said leggings are great for athletic wear, working out, doing errands, and then they are making their way into the office places. But people who are wearing them in the office are wearing things like tunics, longer sweatshirts, designer sweaters that are covering that part of their bodies. So yeah, so that's it. So I wanted to propose the two changes for number 2 and number 6, and then
What's the change for 2? I can't. Would you repeat?
I'm sorry, Jerry.
What's the change for 2?
Movement cannot disrupt the distracting learning environment.
The distracting learning environment.
So it stops at jacket, and we're removing the phrase "it cannot disrupt or distract the learning environment," referring to, a girl is or a guy is wearing something nice, but in this case, number 2 is geared towards a female. They're wearing something nice. It's not appropriate to deem that as distracting or disruptive.
A couple of questions. What was wrong with the old dress code?
The one that was in place last year?
Yes.
The biggest thing, Sue, is generalities. Like, for example, using the word modest. Modest to you and modest to me could have very, very different definitions, which led to, and once again, information that was given to me, people who had talked to me, we had some problems in regards to the dress code last year.
Who had the problems?
Who had the problem?
Yeah.
We had certain students
Teachers or?
Yep. Teachers that were identifying.
When he had his individual meetings with teachers,
Yep.
it came up, and it was in the staff survey too.
Take a walk, if you took a walk through the school any given day last year, you would have seen.
There was a need
Lots of
to
skin.
tighten
The
up.
last one was too vague.
And that's what he agreed when he brought it to the board last week, as just a reminder. He said that the staff shared some concerns with him, and then he revisited it, and nothing was measurable. I mean, you did brief that the first time, and I was just, that's how it was presented, and it was recognized as a concern area, and so it's got some attention.
I would think it would be advisable with something like this, if you need to revise it, to get a committee together, parents, students, teachers, anybody else who wants to be involved with it, rather than one person doing it. That would be my advice, to engage the stakeholders to prevent some of the concerns that seem to be arising in our emails all the time.
And he can do that. The problem is, school starts on Thursday, and right now, the dress code was approved by the board in July, so that's the one that's in play.
So of these, is the major objection to this dress code at this time number 15? Is that?
It sounds like Keith has a test.
Well, I mean, I think there are, I have some other, that is one. I think I have 2 daughters, and, they have never worn jeans. They wear, I guess they're called leggings. And I can honestly say they don't wear shirts that cover their full buttocks, but I don't think they look.
I think that's inappropriate.
I don't think they look inappropriate. I think they look very, I wouldn't let my daughter leave the house if they looked inappropriate.
I was at the fair last week, and hopefully kids are dressing at school like they were at the fair, because I will say that that is, then we would kind of need that. As far as number 15, I don't know how many boys are wearing leggings or whatever they're, I've never seen a boy wear those, but we're in a different time, and maybe that is something that was a problem, but again, that is something that I guess I should have looked at. When we did approve the policy last board meeting, I guess I
But, and if we
read
change
that
it,
thoroughly. So
if you change it in all leggings, that's fine. Then Mr. Schaefer becomes the guy of deciding that yours are too tight, hers aren't, mine are, whatever, you know, that it becomes that kind of gauge there, you know? That's the difficult part.
So, yeah, I don't know what the right answer is. All I'm saying is that, you know, this is a very, pretty detailed dress policy. I mean, that's,
I would agree it's detailed, but I think, going back to my days in teaching, we had uniform.
Jerry, we're gonna get through it. We didn't have-
If you don't make it detailed, they're gonna find any way to move through it.
Yep.
And I think the purpose of this, I hate dress codes, I really do. But unfortunately, parents can't do a good job of it as the kids leave the house. Because I think the purpose of the dress code is to reduce the amount of time which takes away from education that teachers and administrators are dealing with dress code issues, as opposed to what's the square root of 4, you know? I mean, that, as I said last time, I put everybody in uniforms and tell them to
We're in a public school, though. I mean, we're not.
They're public schools.
I get it, but.
I would share that I've had the pleasure of having a fair amount of conversation with a lot of great community members. And I will tell you, the females have their concerns. And I've listened intently to a lot of people, right? Because I think it's important. And I listen very, very closely. And I always listen and I give my perspective. And I will tell you many, many times, we never came to an agreement. But the thing to me is, why must that be worn, right? So, and I went, and I've done it enough where I've gone to Google and Amazon to see that you can get mid-thigh shorts and things like that. They're available. And so the thing I would say too is, you know, I have seen when they're buying a prom dress, they will go to they will go wherever they need to, online stores, Appleton, Green Bay, even further. So when they need to get something they want to get. So in all those discussions, and I've always been open-minded for all my years, and even I hope on this board, but no one's convinced me that, other than preference, I get preference and I get it, but this is in place, our mission here is to educate people. What they do on weekends, what they do at the park. I mean, whenever they're away from school, this is a free country, they can do whatever they want. So I'm just, my perspective, I've talked to a lot of people and I understand it's hot and I've heard lots of great things, and a lot of people maybe didn't like me after a while, but you know, at the end of the day, I couldn't find a reason that I would change it. I agree with your changes, they're reasonable, you know, and I get that, but we're here to educate kids. And I will tell you, following rules is not a bad thing. And when you go out into the real world, following rules somewhat matters and make you more successful. So for me personally, I am good just the way it is.
Yeah, and I would say, especially with number 15, there's going to be some discretion that has to be applied. And whenever you do that, obviously you're going to get controversy and you're going to have an issue to deal with, but I guess that's the real world. I don't have any problem with it with number 15. You know, and I would certainly, I would leave it the way it is. I mean, I've read emails that we've gotten, I mean, I've gotten 2 emails from parents, as that we all have. And, to tell you the truth, I don't see a lot of, I don't want to say validity, but I don't know what to call it, but it's something between parent and child also, so. That might.
I think the education thing here is that when they leave here and they go to get a job,
Yeah.
it isn't like, what do you wear anything to go to here? It's not-
Yeah.
So that's reality, and I think part of our responsibility is to teach them what the real world is all about. But I do agree with Sue. I
Yeah,
think,
and
I
let's
think-
avoid these things in the future by having the stakeholders engaged. I know it's late now, I get that, but I'm
the
talking
next round,
about.
I agree with you. I was thinking that driving over, get a couple students, a couple faculty, a couple administration, a couple parents, sit in a room, and then you tell us
Well,
which.
I mean, in fairness, we had meetings for this. One individual that writes this and it just showed up. This came, I'm sorry, I cut you off. But so we had meetings to go through this and we reviewed this. And it came through the athletic committee, so, I mean.
The dress
The dress code?
What are you talking about?
Well, this is the connection, remember we had the meeting with the connection of, am I wrong, isn't that right? Didn't we had a connection of the athletic code and the school thing tied together, and then the dress code was related to that. The handbook, how the handbook and the code, remember we made them tie together.
But the handbook, the dress code wasn't discussed at the athletic committee.
No.
Okay.
No, but yeah, I know what you're saying, how the athletic
I get the
code
parallels,
and,
but they would never.
right,
we
but
never
that's
talked about
separate.
a dress code in the-
Right.
All right. Fair enough.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, but an option, I mean, can we just approve the changes as recommended by Troy, but yet have a follow-up and say in 2 months, we could, student
October
council
board
gets
meeting?
together, they do something. If they want to bring their concerns to the board, they can bring their concerns to the
Get
board.
a committee together to look at them.
And bring it back in October. Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
Well,
that's just throwing out as a suggestion. I
Does
mean,
that though address the, I still think, what I hear the main objection being
Is
is
the leggings.
number 15, that you have to have a shirt.
That
That covers-
and Dave.
I don't think there's a- I don't-
But, and
And
also.
that one, and doing that doesn't address that at all.
Correct.
And Dave made a comment about there are found shorts that are, and I guess define mid-thigh, because, you know, I guess where is that line of the mid-thigh? I mean, is that, who decides that?
Well,
And-
this is
and You
the,
mentioned though that, and, you know, yeah, I can go out and buy my daughter 5 new pair of shorts that meet, you tell me the requirement and I'll go out shopping for my kid so she can have clothes to wear to school. I can probably do that, but can every family go out and shop for 5 new pairs of shorts for their kids so that, and again, I want to know where the mid-length is so I can buy my kids appropriate clothes because I'm not sure my daughter's shorts are mid-thigh.
So
Is it when you stand where and you put your arms straight down?
Well,
Where
Well,
your
I don't know,
fingertips get-
that's other policy, Southern Doors policy is finger length.
Fingertip length?
What's wrong with that?
Hey,
For a length?
Well, that's why we're discussing if that's the
What's-
thing you want,
what's wrong
if that's
with
your
that?
measurement you want to put in there rather than
Or-
mid-thigh, that's
Or
okay.
an inch past your length if you're have long arms or
But-
short.
So this is the one thing where I would like to interject on that. So in regards to the mid-thigh, okay, so I don't think we're all going to be walking up and down the halls and measuring and looking to the nearest inch, like where the shorts are. You know, I mean, when we go, and you go right to number 1, and you look at professional dress as defined as clothing that doesn't show any undergarments, cleavage, midriff, or buttock. We don't want to see our students exposing parts of their body, and we don't want to see their undergarments. You know, so if you're wearing a pair of shorts and they're a little shorter than your mid-thigh, but you're covering the things that we're asking you to cover, I don't know that everybody is going to make a big deal. You know, what we're really wanting to avoid is that, you know, we're exposing parts of our bodies where we shouldn't be doing that in a school building. That's unacceptable.
Agreed, that is, I agree wholeheartedly, yes, that things should not be.
Can I just ask you,
are
this is
supposed
a
to be.
senior citizen at 70, going on 75, why would a parent want allow their kids to come to school in shorts, yoga pants, tights, and jeggings, whatever that is.
Because that's what kids wear, Jerry.
That's what they, but I'm just saying, why would you want them?
What I was gonna add is two things are separate. I want to emphasize two comments. There is some discretion with implementing even this, even though it's more measurable. And what Jeff recommended is let's come back in 2 months, because what I believe there's gonna be some, we're gonna wear, people are gonna figure it out, there's gonna be some warnings that people are gonna learn. And I agree with you, that you aren't gonna have a ruler and a tape measure and the tall person and the short person and, so I think if good leadership will be reasonable. But you also have to give good leadership a chance to see if it works, right? And so that's why, there's gonna be some discretion on how we interpret it, and you just explained that sort of things. And Jeff's to come back in 2 months and we'll give it a shot, That's end opinion.
And this doesn't necessarily need to be 2 months, maybe over Christmas break, something before Christmas break, where then we can possibly implement something for the start of it.
Well, and I think the other, as soon as it's recognized, clearly this makes more sense, well then bring that and change it, whenever that is.
Right. And that's part of the thing, you got the discretion to change this at any time. with a 1 week notice.
I like Sue's suggestion, you form a group of students, and all the people involved, okay? They develop a dress code and never bring it to us.
Well,
We have to.
it's got to come to you,
Why?
because
It
the
goes to
board.
you.
Well, and it's gonna come to us.
Okay, if you want to designate
Well,
me, but at
no.
this point, the handbooks and policies come to
And
you,
this is-
so.
and this is
So
already been
unless you
approved.
designate it's coming to me, okay,
So, especially with these tough topics, it's not fair to the administration for the school board to run and hide. We need to own these, right? So that's why.
So I assume that the administration would come here in the meantime if certain parts of this are unenforceable, okay? If they want this change.
Yeah,
But as we go into the next school year, sometime during the course of the year, I would support and make a recommendation, if you want me to, I'd support Sue today's recommendation that a dress code committee be formed with membership being parents, students, faculty, administration, and the numbers.
And maybe
I said students.
that's an initiative of the student council.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's student, I think it's, if this is a policy.
so the student council doesn't represent the student body, that's how they.
So the
elect
student
them,
bodies, so
right?
they can select what students they want. But you as administrator, you can select which of your faculty you want and all that stuff, and put together a group, and they meet during the year and cobble something out, and if there has to be changes, then they come to us sometime next summer and give their changes.
changes to this.
Well, we brought it in August because it was on
We already have
July,
one
Mr.
approved.
Schaefer.
So we already have one on books.
Right, and this one's
So,
the case.
and so this would be,
Right.
some would say an improvement, some may not,
That's right.
but,
But
so
what-
this would go on the books after it's approved, if it's approved, and then there'd be a year to try to propose some changes.
I've heard a year, I've heard Christmas, I've heard October.
I think it
So-
should be defined, I think it should be probably sooner than later.
I
That's
agree.
my recommendation.
I agree.
Why are we gonna wait till we're gonna,
Because you just now, the ink isn't hardly done on this one.
I understand, that's why we were talking about it, Jerry, so we can correct something.
In a month or two,
I would,
Mr. Schaefer's going to be able to come back to us and say, this is working, or this isn't working, we need to reconsider this. It could be as early as our September meeting that he comes back.
I would think it would.
I want to create a situation before it occurs. I mean, there's always going to be outliers, no matter what policy you have. And I really find it difficult to have parents, selecting parents, on a committee like this, because do you select the outliers? Do you select the conservative people? Who's on the committee? So I still think it has to be an in-house thing. The students certainly can be involved, but yeah, I would say we go with the changes that you're suggesting, and then if severe problems, then you bring it to the board and we decide on what action to take.
Does someone want to make a motion?
I
on
move we
something?
approve the dress code changes as presented today.
Second.
Is there further discussion or questions?
Now, you didn't have it.
I guess as far as the leggings, and it must be one with the top that is longer than the seated pants. I don't know that,
I don't.
I mean, if it goes to your waist, who cares? I mean, you wear jeans with
As soon as the
nothing
first
that goes
boy
past
that
your butt.
wears-
I mean, what's the difference?
Those kind of pants, leggings that girls wear, then you talk about it, but until then, I don't think it's an issue.
But
But I would,
We could, that's part of the discussion.
Right, yeah, I mean,
in your motion, Dave, you aren't saying any timeline to report
So,
back?
so remember, we already approved one last meeting, and there's a change proposed. I'm just saying, let's approve this now. There could be a separate motion to set up this committee and stuff like that. I was just trying to follow through this action. And I didn't want to tie the two together, because we need to be able to have guidance so we can run the school. So, that's-
Does anyone that has a different thought on number 15 want to suggest an amendment to Mr. Kakarinsky's motion?
Or vote on it and see if it's, whatever the process is. Well, in the discussion, the only thing, the concern I would have is, so these things have been around for a long time, right? The tights and all that kind of stuff. When we leave to the discretion to, all tights are not created equal, right? Bear with me, right? And the tights wear out. So unfortunately, I've had the pleasure of being in places in public where you can see right through the tights. And I'm not implying any of our kids have done that. But I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of people wear tights that shocked me that they went out in public with these things, because you can see everything, right? Not to mention, God forbid, they bend over to pick up their keys. So, and I'm not implying, but and now there are tights, right? So if you want, there are tights that are thicker and a higher quality. I would agree that higher quality probably isn't a problem. But then let's start doing the research in that committee about, I don't know how you, but like, I know sheets have thread counts. So let's start doing the quality
Well, I
and the
guess-
thickness of a
But then
tight.
they'll wear
well,
out.
doesn't that come back to the whole not being able to see your undergarments?
so let
You
me
can see
get
your
this straight.
undergarments, and that's ruled out already anyway.
Leggings are the only things that wear out.
That's
Jeans don't wear out.
fair enough.
Thin or anything else, Dave? Like,
Say that again?
I said, jeans don't get thin as they wear, like, you don't
Well,
get.
yeah, and if you can
It's
see your
just the
bare
leggings
skin.
that get thin.
No, if your jeans wear out and you can read through this,
But we
this
have a
policy.
policy that's addressing those other things, holes in your things. I mean,
Yep.
why do we have a separate policy, like,
No,
jeans?
No, I'm not, just to give you my perspective. Remember, we
The
get the vote
difference
on
with the
this.
leggings
We don't
compared
have
to
solve it.
jeans is the tightness. And some will be too tight and some won't be too tight, and that's a judgment call. And each person's gonna judge a little different,
And
right?
again, we're so.
Can I call a question?
Call a question.
Call a question, and we'll vote on what's been presented to us, up or down.
We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Warwick,
Aye.
Isaacson,
Nay.
Kakarinsky.
Aye.
I,
No,
No.
Dang, I should have put it first. I vote yes. I think though that within the month, Mr. Schaefer's going to be coming back to us, especially regarding number 15.
Now, just to be clear, with this passing, the winter pass, we would have had still the
Yeah, we
July
already
code.
approved the other one.
The July one would have stayed if this one wouldn't have passed.
well then I would like to offer another motion that we have a report back on the implementation of the dress code no later than the October meeting, and that we form a committee to address the code in the future, and that committee consists of students, parents, teachers, administrators.
Is there a second to that?
You all said that.
Was that a second?
Yes.
So when did you want to have a report back to the board?
No later than October.
Okay.
So often we say that's for the they're here, they know what to do with it, that's for the administrators to do. I think a committee, I think bringing parents in, and
Yeah, I think that goes back to.
parents should always have a voice, and if you want to have the student council with some staff, but we're kind of selective on what we want to pass to the administration, what we want to take away from them. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
I guess we better have a roll call vote. 'Cause
To the change,
To-
are we voting on the changes?
No, you're voting on having
Carl, would you
have
read
a
that
committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
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 Aye.
Nay.
Okay, can I make an administrative recommendation? I still think there should be a committee. The difficult part about having parents is which 2, 3 parents you pick, because I could make it so the dress code comes out exactly as I want, depending on the 3 parents I pick, right? I mean, I've been
Yeah,
around
it could get
6
worse.
years now, I could win it, I could seal the deal, right? I do think the students should be involved, and I would like to see it be student council or officers of the upperclassmen, because they're leaders, they've been elected to those positions, they are leaders and they should be stepping up. So I would like to see a committee of administrators, teachers, and students and eliminate the parent part, because I tell you, whichever 3 parents I pick, I can win.
And you can set that up without a motion or anything like that.
That's your
You can
prerogative.
do that whenever, right? Is that
Okay, I'll do it on my own.
Well, I thought- or do
Okay,
you
no, it's
want-
fine. I thought,
Unless
you want to get, was
someone
it agenda?
here has a big
Unless
objection-
someone,
Unless board members have a big
Any
objection.
objective?
to it.
Oh, no,
Mr.
well,
Schaefer.
someone make the motion
Okay.
for them.
I just was a recommendation, because I know that last motion got defeated, but there's been talk about a committee, and I just thought of a better way of doing it, so. But if you don't want that, I'll just,
I think we have committees that are not necessarily approved by the school board that exist right now,
sure.
so.
All right, we'll get a committee together.
Well, if someone wanted to make that motion, I would support it.
You've heard the candidate wishes that.
Mr. Schaefer, I'm moving forward on it. Okay.
We don't have anything legislatively this month, but that'll probably change when the legislature starts getting back in action. Then we have the seclusion and restraint report.
Last school year, 21-22, we had 2 students. We have a total of 6 seclusions and 6 restraints. Both students are special education students in the elementary school.
A motion to accept this.
Move to accept the seclusion and restraint report.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
At what point does this, even if it's a special needs student, reach where we say we can't handle this anymore? I mean, how many seclusions is?
It's federal law that we
Nice.
have to have meetings if a student is secluded or restrained a second time. So we have meetings almost immediately, and we're talking about that, we're taking data. So it's a very, very short window where we determine the appropriateness
So
for
then
the
what happens
students.
if it happens a third time?
We have to have that meeting, and then,
I mean, I'm saying, is there a point where
yes,
it's not our responsibility anymore?
yes.
There-
But that's a team decision, IEP decision.
And so she can't tell you the magic number of 4, 5, 6, 7, because it depends on each individual case and
Depends
that's-
on
but that-
every time it's, yeah, but if
and what
it's-
interventions have been attempted and,
That's a
Or
school's ability to say we can't do it.
Absolutely.
well, we can't.
We can't say, I mean, it's a.
You can't just turn a child away. You can go through the expulsion process, but even then with a special ed kid, you gotta, yeah, it's,
Yeah, there's very, very strict guidelines
I
for
don't
it.
understand that,
But we do have those conversations, and we've had more of those conversations the past couple of years. They're hard ones.
We have a motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The Studer proposal.
I've met with representatives from the Studer Dance Academy. The cost is $10,000 for a district our size, which is on page 2. This would be for the 4 administrators sitting here and our head of our maintenance department, food service, and athletic director, and Mr. Volkman too. And we would work on this through a series. They cover 4 topics annually. The 3rd topic, reward and recognition, is an area I recognize as a weakness of mine. And so I'm very happy that that's one of the 4 topics this year, because next year they would change out those 4 topics and have 4 more. But basically you take a course online and a virtual workshop, and as a group we would study it and work our way through the school year. So I'm interested in pursuing this.
Questions?
I would move to approve it's a 3-year agreement at the fee of $10,000 a year for the Studer Education Program.
I'll second.
We're going to do it 1 year at a time though.
Oh, sorry, yes.
If we don't like it after the first year, we're not going to continue down that
Do I need
road.
to
But
clarify that? Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did said that here, I'm sorry.
Was there a second?
Yes.
Are there other questions or discussion?
Well, I was curious, so there is you have a team definition. Some of these are on-demand, pre-recorded courses, right?
Mhm.
So they're kind of just available.
Right.
Since this is for the school, can anyone, like if there's a if there's a separate staff member somewhere that has an interest in this, can they look at that pre-recorded class and see what kind of
I didn't
learning?
ask about that because I was only talking about our team. But
No, I
can
understand,
find out.
but
Yeah,
when I
that's a
read
good
through this,
question.
it's for the school, that's right. We're not paying for 4 heads, we're paying by student enrollment.
Right, I would think that Studer would allow that.
The group you had is a great focus. I'm just saying, there might be some people, or even
Sure.
a student, that's a GT student that would love to take some leadership stuff, you know. And I don't know what these pre-recorded stuff, if it's all builds together from the guide and it sets you up for the virtual workshop, then maybe it wouldn't make sense. But I've seen a lot of, pre-recorded stuff that just kind of information, that's what YouTube is, I guess, right? So,
Well, I would hope that as we watch them and participate, if we said, hey, this would be good for so-and-so.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
something like that too.
It doesn't change where I'm at, I was just curious.
Right.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Open operations, 22-23.
In talking with our administrative team, Deb Christensen, our school nurse, and referring to the documents we've received, the plan starting with COVID is if a student or staff member is positive, they will be out for 5 calendar days, and then they'll return the next 5 calendar days masked. No contact tracing, no siblings out, just when you're positive, 5 days out, calendar days from the positive test or onset of symptoms. And barring that you're clear on the 5th day without any fever and other symptoms, you're healthy to come back like normal. And then 5 days masked, otherwise we're not contact tracing, we're not having siblings sit out, you're here at school.
Do you need a motion?
No, I just want to keep updating you guys because you guys gave me the ability to make the decision on the fly as need be.
Any questions about that? Hearing none, we'll move to the vending machine request by the Mighty Pioneers.
At first, I was wondering about middle school athletics and JV games, but then Tom Ash reminded me that in the past couple of seasons, the Mighty Pioneers have been doing the concessions at those events as well. I'm happy if the machine doesn't start on until after school, till kids are dismissed, and I'd prefer if, like, the buses were out of here, decent dismissal time, and then if they're supplying it and paying all expenses with it and arranging it, I'm okay with it sitting in the corner there. They'll move their current cart and fridge that are there. I don't know, Jeff, you want to share more? I don't know.
And what would go in the vending machine? If you're still going to sell hot dogs and
No, we're not, as of right now, we're not going to be selling anything.
You want
Oh,
to
it'll
say?
won't have
be
a-
vending.
There won't be a stand, the vending's your only
We're not
option.
concession card or anything at all during the basketball
Because,
season.
I mean,
Just because there's
the
not.
problem is getting volunteers, and the school has the same problem, so the problem.
So it's a worldwide
I was
problem.
trying to figure out a different way to still
Yeah, no, it
raise
makes
money,
sense.
but not having, and if it doesn't work, should people start complaining that they're not going to be able to get a hot dog or popcorn during their event?
But at
Maybe
least it's
that's something
something,
we can
because
bring back, but-
there are times you don't have any concessions, and then you're like, oh, you know, you're coming from work, or the kid's tired or thirsty, so. I thought it was a good idea with the,
I think we at least
Yeah, we
try it
figured
and
that
see how
out.
it goes.
Yeah, and we figured out like at the basketball games and stuff, you're only there for an hour, hour and a half for that particular event. It's not like baseball where you're there for 3-4 hours. So there's a better chance that they could still have a meal at home or afterwards, before or after the game, not relying on.
So they're mostly like chips and candy bars. and
It'll
stuff.
be the candy bars, and possibly sandwiches.
Do you know the vending machine?
Yes, we own the vending machine. My
Sir.
pioneers own the vending machine.
Make a motion to approve the Mighty Pioneer vending machine request.
Second.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Keith, you
Then-
seconded it? You were the first second?
And I guess I should abstain from voting on that.
No,
Or no, does that make any difference?
You know,
you're not making any profit on there.
you're not conflict, you're not making any money. All right.
Good to ask. No.
I think he's gonna be loading a machine. I think he's gonna be spending time
Got
in
a
it.
job Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
his volunteer, I think his volunteer of the
It
year.
took like
award-
quarterback.
He's got a title or a?
If he is making money off this, you may have to have a special.
So then we have a time off request from Ben Baum.
Ben has a unique opportunity here with his musical career. The opportunity's in Los Angeles, and he'd like to go try to pitch a record to record companies. I see this kind of similar request we've had where it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I think I recommend we grant it, and I'll write it up so he knows it's a one-time deal, because, I don't know, if he gets a record deal, there'll be a lot more trips, right? So you'll have to manage those. We can't have them going all the time. But I think you let them take this one shot at opportunity. It's kind of exciting.
Would there be a motion?
I move that we accept Ben Baum's request.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ryan Hilbert requested time off.
It is FMLA. He's asking for a couple weeks at the due date of his wife's having birth, their next child, and then he wants one day off a week. I don't really like that style, but it seems to work around here. Mr. Holmes likes it.
I like it, it adds
Right.
some consistency to the classroom, because you've got the same classroom teacher for 4 days a week, rather than having a block of time with a sub that, you hope does as well as the teacher that's not here, but at least there's some consistency those other 4 days.
Then do you have this long-term celebration?
He has one he's already spoken with, and she's done long-term subbing for us in the past, too.
Okay.
So she was one of the 23 that came on last Wednesday. Yeah. So she's a quality sub.
Is there a motion to approve Ryan's request for time off?
FMLA.
So we're good with the, I know it's so the breaking down of the daily thing, you guys are good with
Yeah.
that, you know.
Well, actually, the law
I
says,
move to approve the recommended time away.
actually, the law says that you can, the employee can request down to the smallest unit of time that you give off. So like you give single sick days off, right?
Yes.
So you can go, the law says then you have to provide FMLA all the way down to single day.
Well, we've been discussing that for a while. so-
That's just the law.
So we're good with it. It passed.
Is there a second to the,
I'll second.
is there other discussion?
FMLA only guarantees they have a job when they come back.
You don't have to pay them, you
No.
have to give them the time off.
Right.
Don't,
You have to guarantee a position when you come
can't
back.
fire them or get rid of them.
Right.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Is there a motion to approve the first reading on the policies?
Move to approve the first reading of revised policies 2414, human growth and development, and 8510, wellness.
I'll second that.
Questions or discussion?
Yes, I do have a question on the human growth and development. It was my understanding when we met in the policy committee that this was going to be reviewed by the human growth committee,
Yeah, I had them come in.
and they did review.
Yep, they did that, and then the wellness was the wellness committee and Casey Andrews for food services, so they went to the other groups. And the procurement of federal grant funds, Carl and I sat down and worked on that one, the next one coming up. So yep, those all went to the appropriate groups.
And then it was that committee that decided which items to check.
Yes, I was with them, and we went through it and
Okay,
chose them, yep.
that was my question.
Yep. On all three of them, these two and the next one coming up.
If there are no other questions or comments, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And then policy 6325.
I would move to approve the first reading of new policy 6325, procurement federal grants funds.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Then we conclude our regular business for the evening. Is there a motion to convene to executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mr. Ward?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried at 8:11 p.m. We're back in open session at 8:53 p.m. We'll look for a motion first to approve the full-time special education aide.
I would move to approve the hiring of Melissa Rainier as a full-time special education associate.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The cook.
I move to approve Joy Wilson as the cook.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Special education aide part-time.
Make a motion to approve the hiring of Mary Laughlin as a special education part-time.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then the last special education aide part-time.
I would move to approve the hiring of Kathleen Hines as a special education aide part-time.
Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Second. I'll second that.
We're going to keep this meeting rolling. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Our next regular meeting is September 21st.
I have my WASDA conference at Madison. WASDA, Wisconsin Association of School District Administrators. It's in Madison, and we meet with legislators at that time.
Do you have a suggestion?
I guess I just go back a week.
The 14th?
But no, it's.
Oh, the 28th.
Oh, the 28th, yeah.
The 28th? So that will
If
change.
that's okay.
28, 22.
Mr. Hiltz will be in Eagle River with the fifth graders that day.
That's okay. Good for him.
Choose from tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the 28th
So we're going
Seven.
on the 28th?
28th.
So,
Let's jump to the October, then our October meeting is the 19th.
and there's a conflict with the National Rural Education Association Conference in Green, which is in Green Bay this year. And I think Sue and Lisa are both going.
Yeah. And you are too.
I am too, yes. I just didn't know if in Green Bay if we'd come back by 7 o'clock that night, or I don't know, I haven't seen an agenda for
There is
that.
the reception and the registration that night. It would be hard to get back by 7.
Okay, and then we have to,
I have the Sevastopol annual,
that's on the 25th
that's the 25th.
at 6:30.
You're going to do back-to-back meetings?
Then we do the 26th, will be the recommendation, right?
And so we back-to-back meetings?
Mm-hmm.
The 26th of October? That works for the October meeting?
So they're both going back.
Back a week, yeah.
When we meet and confer, do you have a recommendation for that?
After school, Sunday works best, I don't know when you think it doesn't matter.
Is there a day where we could, like, is a Wednesday better than a Tuesday or Thursday, or?
I don't know, it depends on each staff member, there's all this stuff going on. Coaches are coaching every night, there's different groups. You just have to, okay.
Yes, it's okay.
Because of the day. Just in your calendar.
A week before October meeting.
A week before the September meeting?
Oh, September, you want to do it in September?
Well, I think the sooner, if Lisa's gonna talk about it on Monday, then I think we should, what about the 19th or the 20th, Monday, Tuesday? I guess which board members are gonna attend?
Yeah, who's up?
I don't think I've been there for a while.
It depends on which day you select.
Okay.
Jerry, have you ever done meet and confer?
Mm-mm.
Or Jeff, have you ever done meet and confer?
No?
Jeff's really.
No, sister.
Okay, we got at least 3 members.
When do you want to do this meeting confirmed?
It'd probably have to be a Monday for me then.
Monday, 19th,
What time?
it's right after school, like 3:30.
No, because you're no church.
Okay, so with Lisa's.
Then I'll do it this time, and then you'll have to do it next time, Jerry.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's September 19th.
Scheduling a policy.
We should have a policy committee, the nurse would like us to look at a policy we have on, handing out medication. She'd like us to- Handing out
Oh,
medication.
Okay,
Yeah, so she'd like the policy committee to review that, she'd like to sit in with us on that.
okay.
Yeah, good idea.
What date are you looking at?
It's you two, how about the 7th of September, Wednesday the 7th, or Thursday the 8th?
Thursday the 8th, what time?
Let's do 3:30. Is
Okay,
that,
I could do 3:30 on either day.
okay, 7th or 8th, Jerry?
8th, I'm pushing wheelchairs on the 7th.
Right,
So we're meeting at policy committee.
policy, yeah. And I don't know, I haven't heard from
Jean?
Jean lately, but I will at least we'll have the one discussion with the nurse, so we'll have that.
So which day are you meeting?
3:30 on the 8th,
3:30 on the 8th.
yeah.
And then building and grounds.
In that policy, in that meeting, with the nurse there, did we include Narcan? So one of my big things is that the schools don't have Narcan,
We do have it with our SRO.
but you have it right.
Yeah.
And it needs to be at multiple places. Because if the SRO is not here, you don't have, it's not if, it's when you will have an incident.
What is that medicine for, I'm sorry?
When a kid overdoses
Overdose.
on fentanyl.
Okay, so you want that part of the policy committee?
Yeah, and then you got, it's a life-saving
Narcan?
Narcan. And I saw this show on TV, and they said the problem with schools is we don't have Narcan located strategically throughout there. Actually, when the sheriff was here, remember I
Well,
said.
so the good news, we have it here, but you're saying we need to
We
check
have,
out
the
how quickly
SRO
can we
has it, and
respond?
the SRO is here. The SRO is here during this regular school day, and then usually one activity during the week. But he's saying it's gonna happen at a time when they're not.
If you remember when the sheriff was here, and I said I envisioned that we're gonna have break boxes throughout organizations with Narcan in it. And she said, she agreed too.
Do you need training on it or no?
I don't know who does this. Yes, I would not.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm just saying I would like that on the, when we did talk about going on. The nurse.
we can talk about with the nurse, but then I'll have to go to policy to figure out how to,
If she agrees with you, right?
Right.
She may say.
okay, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, okay. Let's stay with the meeting setting up
So
now.
policy
I must live in a bubble.
is on the 8th.
Building and
Doing
grounds.
football in school here?
But
We have kids doing that here?
we have typical high schoolers.
I know, but I was in high school once and we drank beer in the field, like, we didn't like do fentanyl and
I know.
that stuff.
It's not being
Some
passed.
kids maybe did a little stuff that.
It's
Maybe
not-
they don't know they're getting fentanyl.
It's not, it's not past the realm of possibility.
I'm just saying, because
They don't, they
I'm
don't.
not, your boys are wearing yoga pants here.
I'm not.
We need a policy singling out, leggings and jeggings and stuff that girls wear, but because the boys are wearing it too, so I'm just asking, are they, we got kids on fentanyl?
We haven't had the need for Narcan yet.
Okay.
But it will come, because it's not, it isn't, they don't know they're taking the fentanyl.
No, that's the problem. And staff needs to know how to treat it because it is deadly.
Building and grounds.
And
Building
they
grounds.
just had 3 guys die in the valley. They found one
Yeah, in 2 of them in the parking lot.
and went upstairs.
Yeah.
Building and grounds.
Building and grounds.
Building grounds, what do you mean?
Well, okay, it's Jeff, Dave, and Dick now, right? What works in your guys' schedule, Jeff? Or Dick, anything, won't say anything?
Except September 5th through the 9th.
5th to 9th, okay. Dave, what's your schedule look like?
Wednesday the 24th. What did I say? I mean, so how quick do we want to do it? I mean, like Monday or Tuesday next week. But if you wanted to get right away. And then, like I maybe mentioned before, is I'm probably going to have some activities that are probably going to tie me up. So I think just schedule the meeting and I'll try to make it.
What, Monday the 29th work for you?
Tuesday. So what we're meeting with the greenhouse company on Tuesday at 11 o'clock.
No, Wednesday at 11 o'clock on the 31st.
31st.
Yeah, 31st, Wednesday the 31st at 11 o'clock in the greenhouse.
Tuesday night, the 30th, Jeff, are you?
Well, it's open house from 5 to 7.
Oh,
I think.
okay, bad idea.
So,
Or we could ask
I'd
them.
rather be visible than.
Yeah, of course.
Would the 29th work? Monday?
That's a Monday.
Next Monday.
Yeah, Monday the next, yeah. 5 days from now.
I think so.
Okay.
Can we do it a little early?
What
There's
what
that,
time works for you?
there's that JV game. Where's that thing at? They got that thing booked. So, like, 3, is that too early?
3 o'clock. Or you'll send out just a limited agenda. So.
Right, it'll be tomorrow, Chris will get that out, because we have to post the meeting and, yeah, it'll be tomorrow. And then,
Do we want to try to set a goals setting meeting? Which I think we should make 2 hours. Is 2 hours too long? 2 hours to it? First time?
Well, when you tell students that the board is going to go with them, ask them what materials they have for boards study.
okay, we're not gonna wait for Studer though. You guys we have to have a meeting with the board to get goals set for now, for this, so we should set this sooner than later.
I'm not saying this. Tomorrow, when you tell students that they got their contract,
Right.
ask them if they have some materials to send you the next day on goal setting, right?
Goal setting for boards? All right, materials, I'll ask them.
Might as well take advantage of your money. If they got all that.
Well, we'll see what they send. If they send a bunch of
But
junk.
we
we'll
still want to
use it.
set the meeting now.
Yeah, right.
That's- And Lisa's question was 2 hours enough time?
Too much time?
I would say 2 hours would be
Good
a
target.
good target,
See what happens.
because anything longer than that, I think, is,
Then right on.
you-
It becomes non-productive.
That's
yes.
right.
People lose focus, it just, so we set it
So-
right in 2 hours.
So do we want to go on a Wednesday night to avoid
Is September the 21st good? We had, someone else couldn't make it. Oh, you have to be at the board side.
Wednesdays are actually.
I knew it.
Wednesdays are bad.
Or this time of year, because I do something on Wednesdays,
Okay.
and I already have to get this up.
Monday the 26th.
Mondays are.
What time?
6,
6 to 8.
is 6 okay? Can you make 6?
Yeah.
Think so? 6:30, would 6:30?
No, I would rather start early and get out early because I get
Okay, 6.
6 to 8?
I'd rather,
6 to 8.
September 26th. 6:30.
That's September 26th.
6
6 to 8.
Just had
But Jerry, then we're not in bed till after, later.
Do you want
Hey,
to just
oh,
get
I-
some?
So you'll be out here by 8, you can eat then.
Just want Subway stuff too, or something like that, pizza too soon or something.
What was this
for?
for?
This is for, this is a goal setting for the school board. Which would be for the school.
September.
Yes, 26th of September.
Was it 6 or 6:30 we said it was?
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
Thank
Bring
you.
a sandwich.
We might have sandwiches.
If we get pizza from Saloon or Subway, is anybody like gluten-free or can't eat cheese? I don't know.
No entry.
I am cleared hot for anything.
All right. If there is no other business, then we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourned at 9:07 PM.